great thing about the Stone Island New Balance collaborations is they draw so many, inspirations from Stone Island's archives. So there's I'm sure I'll talk you through them later, but there's multiple details we see in these shoes that have been, referenced in archive pieces from the 80s and 90s. I think the Stone Island and New Balance, this most recent partnership started in 2021, and I think from the get-go, I think that the first shoe they did was a RC Elite, which I believe was a running shoe. But then they've just kind of, I really think, gone from strength to strength. And I think the brands coming together makes so much sense. There's so much history. I think they both really obsess over, there's so much passion in product making. The end result is so impressive, and yeah, that's why, I've always rocked with Stone Island, but my love for New Balance is probably more of a more recent thing, and maybe that's been, the Stone Island collaboration has helped with that.
And also seeing how they both push for really high quality. There's a
100%.
lot of shoes on the market and jackets on the market that they just try and churn it out as quick as possible. To see two brands that are both super interested in how they make it, the techniques that they use, and also why they're doing it, rather than just be like, this is an earner, we're going to do as many as possible.
No, there's no corners cut, is there, when we're in a New Balance shoe? And I was reading up about, the first ever, the 990 New Balance shoe, which I think came out in '82, was the most expensive sneaker that had ever been on the market, and that's because of the research and technology that New Balance put into that shoe, and they've kind of done that ever since, really. And I think it's a great link, because this 574 original model came out in '88, and a lot of the greens that you see in this shoe reference some of the archive pieces from 1988 with Stone Island. So yeah, they've really thought of every single detail, which I guess is the consumer, that's an impressive thing.
It's an immaculate lineup. I feel like it's like Ellis was saying, the customers are very picky. So for two to be able to gel that together, I think is an impressive one. Now I'd like to delve into something different, and that's almost how both New Balance and Stone Island, they've both championed their positions in streetwear, fashion, sports, music, and culture. The two brands, especially around Soho, have become almost a uniform. I feel like for me, growing up in Soho over the last 10 years or so, they've both been two brands that I've seen always glued together somehow, and almost seamlessly so. And it's become a bit of a uniform of like understated luxury, which I would like to know how you guys feel about how both brands and your come-ups, and how both of you guys are coming from same culture but different angles and different paths. How do you guys feel about how the progression between both brands and how that's worked amongst your community?
I think for Stone Island in particular, the way that they treat their customers has always been interesting to me, because I used to work in the store around on the corner, and they'd always make sure that people that are there are repeat customers, rather than just be like, whoever wants to come and buy it and resell it. So it's been interesting to see and learn from some of the older customers, especially, that would be so passionate about it. I don't know how you feel, but the lack of kind of subcultures and stuff now, where people just consume anything rather than being passionate about the project, with brands like Stone Island, it keeps it quite interesting for me. There's so much on the market now that you don't actually have to be that interested. You can just click on the Instagram link. But for Stone Island customers, knowing about the different techniques of how they've dyed the garments, how they've put the jackets together and things like that, I've always found it so fascinating to meet people that are still so tuned in and excited about clothes, because it's very easy to lose that love and to kind of lose that interest and just be like, I can just copy anyone's outfit now and click on whatever link they put on Instagram. So to see that, and then also how they've still made younger people feel like relevant and seen, and kind of when you go in there, they talk through about the clothes, teach you about why it's a certain price, because you hear a lot of mums
an education
with their kids
to it,
saying, you can't get a jacket for this price, and they're talking about why it is that price, where it's made, and also, the kind of technology behind it. I've always found it interesting.
No, Ellis, well said, man. I couldn't agree more. I think the reason Stone Island has had such longevity is because of all the different subcultures that have adopted the brand over the years. So, you start in the early 80s with the Pananari, which I always kind of compare almost to in some ways, like the modern day hype beasts, that you might find around Soho. As a group of young Milanese kids who were essentially fashion obsessed. They wore Moncler, Timberland, Levi's, and that was their whole, existence. Like, it was essentially like who can flex on the others. It's that kind of idea.
I would have won, by the way.
Yeah, every time. But it's that idea of one-upmanship and almost like the validation of having something that's a little bit expensive. You haven't got, I have, which I know is, some people have, some people don't agree with that. But I think there's always that thing of being super proud of the clothing that you're wearing. And Stone Island's just been one of those brands that so many people have adopted. Stone Island themselves don't ever like to talk about them adopting certain people. It's always people have adopted their brand. And then, you have, I think my introduction really to Stone Island was through, I was a huge and still am grime music fan growing up. And obviously I'm a Chelsea fan as well, like Ellis. So I used to see Stone Island worn at Chelsea games, and then kind of, I think it just then, it was on my mind. And then I used to go on eBay and try and pick up vintage pieces. And then, my kind of, I guess, love affair with the brand really started from that.
I think it's also interesting for a jacket to be able to hold so much value throughout time, because some people, you might get a yellow jacket and you're a yellow jacket guy, whereas where you're wearing a Stone Island, people understand because it comes with a certain level of
100%,
like obviously luxury price tag, but also a level of quality. So it's like you're kind of looking at it for a reason.
Yeah, I think also Stone Island's one of those brands you do have to. I think some of these archive pieces, you just look at them and they look, incredibly impressive. But there are some Stone Island pieces which are a little bit more understated, and I think that's when you have to do your research about the brand and realize the innovation and the experimentation and the technology that's gone into it, and that's really why it justifies that price tag. And I think that's very much the same with New Balance. New Balance, I very much think it's worth the price tag, but it's not a cheap shoe. It's like you got to work hard to get one of those. But it's because of the work they've put into that shoe. I always think a New Balance shoe is like the comfiest shoe ever, man. Like, I could sleep in that. Do you know what I mean?
I was going to ask, what's your first interactions with New Balance? Like, do you remember your first pair, what they would have been, and
it might have been a 990 V3. I got it in when I went to America, I believe. And then when I came back to the UK, because I got it in an outlet, I was trying to find it again, and I couldn't find it anywhere. So I was always on the hunt for them. And then I also had a few of the early Concepts collabs, which they always done the mad, like pink colorways and stuff like that, which I always think was amazing. But they've had so many strong collaborations throughout the years. I've always been interested in New Balance, and I think it's something that when I was younger in college and stuff, people didn't really get it. So I always liked something that was slightly different, but also elevated because of terms of like how versatile they are. Like, you can wear them with tracksuit, hair, jeans, whatever. Wear them down to football.
Yeah, 100.
A little bit of everything.
I think mine was. It might have even been the 992. It was a black and silver pair. And yeah, they were just always super comfy. I also remember, I think New Balance collaborated with Stussy at one point, I want to say, maybe 2018. They made like a cream pair. I remember having them. And yeah, it's just been then more recently, I guess, with all the Stone Island collabs, I want to get every single one. So I feel myself wearing New Balance a lot more. So the brands have done the right thing. They've put me on.
I love that. Now, I would love to talk more about these pieces behind us and kind of, if we can, connect some dots for the audience on how these two colorways, but this silhouette in particular, and how it's drawn inspiration from the archive pieces, like you said, from before. Even just my time being here today, I've learned so much about how you guys have, you've particularly kind of explained how certain influences and certain materials and colorways and stuff have been taken from these archive pieces. It'd be amazing for you to walk through some of your pieces.
I mean, even making this selection was like almost impossible because I've got about 350 archive pieces, and the guys at New Balance and agency basically said, you've got to choose 10, and I was like, it's going to be a struggle. It's going to be a struggle. But yeah, no, we made it happen.
What was the first one?
What's that?
What was the first one that you picked?
Well, so what I've done here is I put in chronological order. So we started with 1982, and that's when the brand was started. So this jacket here is known as the Telestella jacket, and that's basically the fabric Stone Island was basically founded on that fabric. It's an amazing canvas tarpaulin that was found on the top of military trucks. And they impregnated each side with basically like an enzyme wash. And you got this really beautiful, like weathered, almost like a military marked feel to it. And you also see the badge position as well as at the chest. So, you know, we know Stone Island. Actually, I've got a similar here, but we know Stone Island always being on the, there you go, always being on the left sleeve, but it's always kind of jumped about. And I think that's a great link to the tongue of the shoe here. We've got this classic 80s square patch badge that you find on this red 1986 pigment rep jacket, and then also this 1990 ice camo jacket. I don't know if people are aware of, you know, the ice jackets. They're some of Stone Island's most remarkable technology. And the ripstock on this vest, you can also see referenced here in the shoe. We then move on here to the 1993 Marina reflective jacket. This is, I mean, I'm going to keep saying this, like, this is my favorite, but this one is particularly special. It's that, so the kind of white flecks you see on it is the wear from, just people kind of, I guess you see it more on the sleeves, people kind of moving their hands back and forth while wearing it. But when the jacket came out in '93, people wear it for a day or two and then they return it because they were like, oh, hang on, my jacket's starting to break. But I think that's the amazing thing about Stone Island pieces. You can almost view it, it sounds a bit silly, but also it's like wearable art almost, you know, it's performance art, you know, the jacket evolves, it changes, it picks up a new lifespan. It's super cool.
A lot of the time as well, they're the first people to actually try and do it.
100%.
Like they actually don't really know how some of it's going to end up.
You're completely right, which is why you see, as much as, you know, Stone Island's incredible brand, I think all the technology have used is remarkable. There are a lot of pieces which just end up sticking to you or flaking away 10 years later, and it's like, I think that's when those pieces should be more viewed as museum pieces that you don't really touch, you put away. But that's why Stone Island have introduced the prototype series, where they release 100 pieces every year, and it's a special type of research that maybe they haven't done before. But a lot of those pieces people just never end up wearing because they could deteriorate so quickly. But yes, and going back to the Marina jacket here, so it's a reflective jacket because it's coated with these glass spheres, and basically when you photograph it, everything else with the flash lighting, everything else is taken out of the image, and just the blue jacket will come to the front, and we see those really like beautiful reflective details on the shoe here. And then we come around to this jacket, which is 1995 Raso Gamato D-rig jacket. You'll see with a lot of the Stone Island archive pieces, Massimo Osti, who's the founder of Stone Island, he had a huge military archive himself, about 40,000 pieces, so all of his references were military based. So that's why you've got those really nice little D-rings there on the jacket. That doesn't really have a huge link to the shoe, I just like it, so I threw it up.
It's a perfect styling piece.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, exactly. It matched the rainbow effect here. And then we move on to this amazing jacket. It's called the Raso Focato jacket. And in Italian, focato basically translates, it's like flocked, so it's a velvet flocked jacket. And I just thought that was quite a nice tie-in with the nubuck suede we see on the shoe, and we see with so many different New Balance shoes. And then, sorry, let me know if I'm boring you guys. It's kind of like, and then we move on to this, which is called the K-felt paper jacket. And it's basically this amazing nylon monofilament mesh, which has been pressed onto ripstock. And this jacket is basically paper. It's super lightweight.
It's insane.
And then we move on to the one behind me, which is I say again, probably one of my favorites. This is nylon monofilament, and this fabric that they use was typically found in the biomedical center. And also like screen printing and water filtering systems. And Paul Harvey, who is the designer of this jacket, he designed it in such a way where it's obviously got this translucent shade to it, but you can almost see the inner workings of the jacket. So we see like this external film here, and it's almost, I always think this jacket in the way Paul Harvey designed some of his work is kind of like the Pompidou Center in Paris, which was designed by Richard Rogers. It's this kind of exposed like skeleton, so you see the workings of I don't know, a jacket or a building in one go, which I think is super cool. And then lastly, last not but least, this is the autumn-winter 2008 hand-painted camouflage jacket. And this is super special. It's this camo kind of splatter you see here was inspired by World War I soldiers who were in the trenches and basically kind of threw earth over themselves to camouflage themselves. And you see this black and white badge here, which is kind of reserved for pieces where there's some sort of innovation or a certain type of technology that's gone into it. And that's about it. Hopefully that wasn't too boring, but yeah.
No, I think it's super insightful. I think I've already heard it once before, but I could definitely hear it again.
Yeah, I could go on, but I won't.
Now, I want to make a note of just where we are. Soho, obviously, the playground for End. It's also a playground for both Stone Island and New Balance. Stone Island obviously have their flagship not far, but of course End has been dominating this space for the last couple of years. Now, obviously with Ellis, you being a bit of a Soho local, being a bit of a known face, have you seen a rise in New Balance and Stony Island being wear together, or one or the other?
New Balance is probably one of the most seen shoes around here now, and obviously styling it with Stone Island has become quite easy, especially as they've used some of the colour palettes. But it's also, becoming a little bit more available. So I think people that understand the brand and understanding why they're paying those price points for it are definitely getting more involved. So yeah, it's been good to see.
I think there's this great link between me and James here, because James is incredible. He's amazing at many things, but he's also an incredible stylist. And we've worked together on a number of projects, especially with Saint, who's here somewhere. There's the guy. And me and James, we always, we're coming together. We're like, okay, right, Saint's got this music video coming up, and it will always be New Balance on the feet, Stone Island archive jacket on the top.
Always.
You've just got to work out what's in between.
The middle part.
But yeah, so I think the brands go so well together, and I think it's thanks to people like James who are kind of making that link between the two, which I think is really strong.
And for putting out good stuff.
Trust me, yeah.
That's all US.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all you. So, Archie, I want to kind of touch a little bit more, because I don't see you around Soho too much, but I would like to know what Soho means to you, as cliche and as lame as it may sound, but I feel like for the people that run around here and use it as their playground, I feel like, dare I say, are we missing an Archie? Probably. I'm an understated guy. When I come into Soho, there's one place I go immediately, and that's straight to Duke's Cupboard. Milo, who's at Duke's Cupboard. I just think that's always the spot. And then I guess when I was a little bit younger, it may have been Supreme, or I don't know, or maybe I'll run into Our Legacy. Maybe I'll go past ALD. Like, I think there's so many good spots.
He's trying to leave out the pub.
What's that?
The Blue Posts.
I'll never go there, man. Never go there.
Yeah.
But no, I think Soho's a great place. I've always, growing up, I always came into Soho here and there. Not probably. I was more probably hanging, I don't know, like in Brixton with friends or Clapham. I maybe didn't come into town as much, and I think it's probably as I've got older and I've been working in the industry and meeting people who work in fashion or music, I'm kind of more drawn towards this area.
Yeah, when I was younger, I used to come here a lot just to hang out and see a lot of the clothes that I couldn't afford as well. So
I like
just
that.
to come around and see people wearing all these mad outfits,
Yeah.
and like, especially a lot of the Japanese clothes and stuff like that. I was like, actually, what is this? Yeah, it's like crazy.
Especially on Marshall Street, actually, you've got the steps opposite end. I remember, same thing, coming here when I was a lot younger. We used to kind of come here, and it'd be a one-up situation. I think everyone used to try and outdress each other, but the Marshall Street steps opposite Billionaires Boys Club used to be, I think I used to find Leo Mandela there getting changed into his fits before 11 o'clock to post them up. But having End obviously on the corner, It's been a game changer, I feel. I feel like as the neighborhood's changed over the years, obviously having a bit of a retail giant kind of put their stamp on Soho is a bit of a... I mean, Milo and a lot of the Soho locals will tell you we're not the friendliest when new people come to the block, but End have done it so well, I feel. And I feel like also having connecting stores like New Balance nearby and Stone Island almost in a bit of a triangle.
No, I think End, you know, they're such a superpower, but what you're seeing all the time is like a new TikTok popping up every single day of dudes doing interviews outside
End.
Like it's the spot. It's great. Like there's such an amazing community feel, and I haven't been stopped yet for an interview, but hopefully soon, and hopefully I'll be wearing New Balance and stuff.
I'm always the one dodging them, mate.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think having I think End's location is just it works super well, and they're on the map.
I think also always bringing in new brands, and
True.
I feel like they give a lot of people, like brands that aren't that big, opportunities to be seen in a place where they actually probably couldn't afford real estate.
Yeah.
And with the VM applying to so many different characters, I always find that interesting because like people have asked me in the past to help out styling and things like that, and I always make them look like me, and then I'm like, this isn't quite right. But when you walk past End, I always find it interesting because they might have some stuff which is a little bit more high fashion, some stuff which is a bit more streetwear.
There's something for everyone, basically. It's a good mix.
It's a good mix, and then also I guess in terms of like just being so welcoming, it's like I've never been in there and felt awkward, especially as like being a young guy. Growing up in London, you go into certain shops, and as soon as you walk in there, you feel like people are following you around the shop. I've always felt it's like easy to go in there and shop and find stuff that you like.
Love that. Now, to wrap this up, obviously we have the shoe going live tomorrow in End. There's an installation there for a whole week, which showcases a bit of an exploration around the both brands, how the both brands have come together and the DNA of both brands, and what that means for this shoe, and what this means for End, and what this means obviously for both brands, but more importantly what it means for that end customer, that end person that's going to be strapping these on feet, which I've already seen quite a few people wearing their stuff quite nicely. But yeah, I wanted to thank you both for coming in. I think obviously, Archie, your insight's insane, and we can't really do a Soho panel talk without Ellis. So we obviously have some beers, you have some drinks, and we have some food here. And obviously we're going to be turning up from 7 to 11, to which we'll have a performance with Saint, Corby. There's a few other people on the lineup as well, myself included.
Make
so,
yourself known now.
Yeah. Huge shout outs to End, New Balance, and Stone Island, and OKQ for putting all of this together, and Paddy and the team.
Thank you for having us.
Appreciate you having us, guys.
Insightful one. Good job.